So I think for me growing up, I didn't really have any kind of sentimental attachment to money, both in a good way but also in a bad way. It was just kind of like I got it to spend it. But you obviously had quite
yeah, because the culture where I'm coming from, I grew up with money being as more like a transactional item. Really, that wasn't anything that
it was high value almost.
Yeah, it's quite valued, although the value I was putting in the money was that okay, it took a time for me to raise it. If I wanted something expensive, I had to work for it. So
yeah, I remember the first time we ever gave, it was we'd just gotten engaged and we had what can only be described as a mega spreadsheet. It was the spreadsheet to end all spreadsheets because I am an admin lover. But every penny was accounted for. And I remember in the run up to Firstfruits, we'd kind of talked about, do we want to give together for the first time or do we want to give separately? And we decided we want to give together, but I felt very prompted to give out of this pot of money that we'd had for a wedding and for a house, just because I felt like it was kind of symbolic for us that God is at the centre of our marriage.
For me, that we really wanted to be obedient in that, and as you said, we had that pot of money for wedding, and we were really thinking hard where we gonna pull that money for Firstfruits, because we wanted to really show God that we want him to be first in our marriage.
You know, so we gave and we didn't go without. Do you know what I mean? The wedding was paid for. God just really protected our finances, I would say. But there were just things that we couldn't foresee. So the house was just taking so long to go through. We were like weeks, we were a couple of weeks away from our mortgage offer expiring. And then we found out we were pregnant, a bit unexpectedly. And all the money that we had then just our viewpoint on it just totally shifted of, okay,
changed.
The priorities completely changed overnight. But yeah, God just really protected us that year. When we came to give the next year, we basically said, okay, you go away and you pray about it, and I'll go away and pray about it, and when you feel like God's told you something, we'll come back together and we'll see if it's the same. That's how we'll know if it's kind of the right amount. For the first time, I felt like God said, I want you to give a percentage of everything of everything you have. I want you to give a certain percentage. I came to Dan, I was like, I feel like God's told me what we should give, but it's a bit weird. Has God told you? And he's like, yeah, but I feel like it's a bit weird too, because I've never had this before. And as we like said it to each other, we realised God had both told us like a percentage for the first time, and it was the exact same percentage. And so we pulled together every single penny we had, and we gave this percentage.
We weren't doing it to just make a transaction with God, like okay, we just want to pay for your favor, but really we were like, okay, we actually believe that you're gonna care for us, and we had that experience already from a year before. So we were going into that with the thinking, actually, yeah, this is scary, it is weird, you just can't really comprehend that, but actually, God, we are excited to see what this year is gonna look like.
And to be honest, we gave it without necessarily expecting much back. We didn't. That's not why we gave it. We gave it out of honour and obedience. Bear in mind, we gave it to such an obscure amount. Someone from the Czech Republic, where Dan's from, sent Dan a message in the morning to say, I had a dream last night and God told me to give you an amount of money. And they'd sent us quite a substantial amount of money in Czech currency. And when we translated it into pounds, it was like basically a few pennies out from this really obscure figure that we gave, which we were just, I remember both of us feeling like we've heard people say stories like this and it sounds so amazing when they say it, but actually we felt completely undeserving of it. We were really emotional, like, do we send it back? Like, we're so grateful, this is a massive relief, but at the same time, like, we just feel so undeserving of the honour and like the favour that God's given us.
And that wasn't like only occasion. But I know that it was just a mix of feelings. And actually, I didn't really want that. I like where I'm coming from. Like
you have to earn it.
You have to earn it. You work for the money. You just. I think we had to learn that. This is part of how we just received gifts from God, that we're not gonna just turn our nose away from it, but actually, God, thank you that's the way you are caring for us in this season.
And like just to learn not to be prideful, I guess, to just humble ourselves before God and just know that his favour's completely undeserved and that there's nothing that we could do to deserve it or to not deserve it. Do you know what I mean? He just, if he wants to bless us, he'll bless us. And so all I can say is, if you are someone who is thinking of giving to First Fruits for the first time, you know, I've given by myself for many years, having been brought up in the church. We've given now for a couple of years. This will be the third time we've given together. It's never not a little bit scary. It's never not a little bit nerve-wracking. But actually, God is faithful. He is, and if you are just obedient to him, actually being part of that story with him is just the most beautiful thing. And so I would just say yes. Just dip your toe in the water, try it, because when you are invited to be a part of that story with God, it's life-changing, honestly.